Tim Pool got swatted yet again yesterday. That is the second time in 2 weeks. He's also had a couple of DDoS attacks against his internet infrastructure, and then there's been some other events that he apparently doesn't want to disclose, but he's hinted that there's been more problems. And he also had a dude just kind of walk into his house the other night. So there's a lot going on there, and ultimately I think this shows the desperation of the left. But we're going to get into that, and before we do, I'm Dan. This is the Soule of Wisdom. Thank you for joining me here today. If you haven't already done so, please do take a moment to subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube. If you're on Rumble, hit the punchy thing. If you're on the podcast side and they allow for it, please do leave a review. I would appreciate all those things. They help us grow. Alrighty, let's go ahead and just dig into my thoughts on some of this stuff here. So, starting out with an article from the Post Millennial, it points out that Tim Pool was swatted again during Timcast IRL. This happened last night. Pool disclosed that the incident was worse than the previous time. He did not give many details because of an ongoing security risk. He said that he intends to update security to a, quote, extreme degree. People are getting nuts in 2022. What the F were we talking about that warranted trying to get us killed on more than one occasion, Pool asked. Well, I'll tell you what the left thinks Tim's been talking about that warrants this, and that, at the extreme left at least, and that's that he will bring on just about anybody and everybody to talk to, and that's not favorable to the overall message. I mean, you know, he had Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know, he had Andy Ngo. These people are absolutely hated by the left, and, you know, Tim identifies as center-left. So for him to have these people on, they now claim that Tim is more right-wing, even though if you look at the politics as he describes them, it's far from right-wing. But the thing is that Tim's willing to talk with anybody. You know, his panel, this regular people that he has on his show, kind of shows that. Tim's center-left. Lydia I would describe as center-right. Luke is very right. And Ian is very left. So there's like this balance there where people can talk. And the thing is, on his show, is they may have their disagreements and stuff, but generally everybody's getting along, everybody's talking. So I think that the left hates that. So if he's wondering what warranted it, well, at least in the eyes of the left, this is what warrants it. You're willing to have a conversation. And that's the last thing in the world that the left wants to have. But ultimately, I see this as, certainly I don't want Tim to go through this. I don't want anybody to go through this. But it's yet another sign, in my opinion, about the far left acting out. And there are other signs of this as well, especially against their own. So this article from Fox News, liberals blast Kirsten Sinema as a racist and bigot for opposing elimination of the filibuster. Quote, I'm not kidding about Kirsten Sinema. It's all about race, political consultant Tom Watson tweeted. If you're wondering what the Sinema secret is, that's it. Black people. There's no real mystery here. Plain old bigot. Occam's razor, the mask is off. So they're lashing out against Kirsten Sinema, who happens to be my senator, by the way, from the great state of Arizona where I reside. And I don't agree with Kirsten on most of her politics, but I admire the fact that she's standing up for principle. But her own side is starting to attack her now, and it continues with Stephen Colbert, again from Fox News. Colbert ripped for misogyny after mocking Mrs. Hamburglar, Kirsten Sinema, over filibuster support. So this article explains that in one of his shows, he went and made comments about, among other things, about her looks because she was wearing this black and white striped shirt in this clip that he had. And then he goes on in the show, he has Elizabeth Warren on, and they're talking about the idea of just eliminating the Senate altogether because it is standing in the way of democracy, in his opinion, and that the filibuster is this anti-democratic tool, as he put it, where the idea is that things are supposed to be hard to get done in government. It keeps things from being just run through roughshod. It keeps the the policies from just changing on a dime every 2 years. This is the whole idea. And I've covered that in another video too. But Colbert has no appreciation for that whatsoever. So again, he lashes out at somebody who aligns with him. Kirsten Sinema is kind of funny because she flat says that she's not against these bills if they're trying to get through. She just doesn't want to destroy the workings of the Senate in order to get it done. And I understand that. But, they're not just going after her. They're also going after Manchin. Nick Saban, the coach of Alabama, along with Paul Tagliabue and a bunch of other people, sent a letter to Manchin urging him to help pass the voting rights bill, which means he would have to, again, get rid of the filibuster. So they're going after him as well. What in the world does Nick Saban have to do with politics? What does Paul Tagliabue have to do with politics? Why should they be pushing on them? Well, I guess you can say that they should be pushing on him because he's their senator, but yet while they both originate from West Virginia, they don't reside in West Virginia, so he is technically not their senator right now. So Manchin has to answer to the people of West Virginia, who, are very right-leaning. It's a Republican state who's managed to have a Democratic senator, and it's probably because he's middle of the road on things. But it doesn't end there with regards to Manchin. Democrats have blasted Manchin in over 700 Facebook and Instagram ads since November, this according to the Daily Wire. And they have a whole list of 15 different Democrat lawmakers who've gone after him. Some of the highlights are Tim Ryan, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Pramila Jayapal, amongst some others who are lesser known perhaps. But it's interesting to me that, again, they're attacking their own. They're lashing out. They're acting out. And it's gotten to a point where, according to Yahoo News, amongst other sources, they're quoting Dick Morris as saying that there's a good chance that Hillary Clinton will come back and run in 2024 because they're in such disarray, I think, that they don't know what to do on the left. They don't know who to run. So they're going back to, perhaps you could say, a more known quantity. But then why are they doing this? Why are they lashing out against their own? Why are they going against Tim Pool? Because Tim Pool is willing to get out there in front of other people, or in front of people rather, with other ideas, with a conversation about things. And I think this is why. If we look at Real Clear Politics and we look at Biden's approval rating right now, the Real Clear Politics average is a 40.9% approve and a 53.3% disapprove. Now, his best showing is with a Reuters Ipsos poll at 45% approve, and his worst showing is Quinnipiac with a 35% approve. And if you look at the chart compared to where he was at, in January of last year, he was at 55, almost 56% approval. That has now fallen to that 40.9. So he's fallen 15, 16 points. And his disapprove was at a 35 and is now at a 53. So the disapprove has gone up almost 20 points. So just a crazy shift in 1 year into the Biden presidency is certainly something that would make the left just kind of lash out. And what's probably even more disturbing for them is this Gallup poll. This shows over 4 polling periods each quarter of 2021. It started out with the Gallup poll, the first quarter of 2021, 49% of the country was either Democrat or leaning Democrat. The lean Democrat would be the independents, okay? And by the end, it fell to 42. Well, the Republican or lean Republicans started off at 40 and then by the end was up to 47. So just a huge swing in a completely opposite direction for the Democrats. So then you say, okay, what is all, what is all this, how does it relate to each other? What does it have to do with Tim Pool? Well, again, I think that the problem that they have with Tim Pool is that he is willing to have conversation, where I think based on what's happening here, the last thing that the left wants to have is a conversation right now. They are pushing hard on Manchin and Sinema because they need to get rid of the filibuster so they can pass their stuff through. And they need to do this because right now they can't have conversation. There is a clear change that's happening right now in the United States. I've done some kind of more doom and gloom kind of videos, but if you dig into the actual numbers, the truth of it is that the country is starting to rebel against what it is that the Democrats are trying to do here. That's very clear to me. And you have Manchin and Sinema who are standing in the way of the one shot they've got to pass their agenda, especially with the voting rights legislation that they want to do. They want to nationalize the voting is the bottom line. And if they do that, they can set the rules to have control and have a better shot of maintaining their control. So that's what this all comes down to. And people like Tim Pool get in the way of that because they're spurring on conversation that isn't necessarily aligned with what they want to talk about. So I think that's why he's under attack. But this also shows to me that the left, especially the far left, is in their death throes, in my opinion. If you look in nature, an animal becomes most aggressive and most dangerous as it's dying. And I think that's what's happening here. They're acting out, against people like Tim Pool. They're acting out against their own in the Manchin and Sinema issues, and they're reaching back to something that they know perhaps to try and run in 2024, just because right now all of the polling and all of the data shows that America isn't happy with what they're trying to do. But they don't seem to want to come off of message either and change. What's happening is in their death throes, they're acting out. And I think ultimately Tim is just a target, just like Manchin, Sinema, and so many others. But I also don't think Tim's somebody that you want to mess with in this regard, because from everything I can tell from the man, I think he will double and triple down and probably just keep going even harder with bringing the message of communication and debate before he would ever acquiesce to the idea that, okay, I'll just go ahead and spew the company line. I don't ever see him doing that. I think he'd quit first. But those are my thoughts on this. This is why I think Tim's being attacked. Let me know what you think in the comments about what has been happening with Tim and what you think overall about how, the left is treating people, and if you think they're in their death throes like I do. Please do, if you haven't already, like I said earlier, like, subscribe, share, do those things. I do appreciate you watching, and thank you very much. We'll see you next time.